Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to day one of ISE here in Amsterdam. We're very privileged to have with us industry influencer, president of AV Nation, Tim Albright. Tim, this is your third year at the show. What makes you keep coming back?
This is my favorite AV show. It really is. I enjoy CEDIA, I enjoy Infocom. They're great shows, put on by great organizations. But those two shows put together in under one roof, and it's in Amsterdam. Yeah, those things, and I don't want to take away from the fact that it is in Amsterdam. I've come to love this city. As a Midwestern, I've said before, I'm a big dumb American. I'm from flyover country, and before 3 years ago, I had never experienced the Netherlands or never experienced these people, and they're a great community. It's a great city to just be in. And oh yeah, you get to hang out with your best AV folks.
You probably have, in some ways, a unique perspective on ISE, not just because you're an American, but because you came to the show. It's been growing for years. I mean, 14 years ago, this show had 4,000 people in Switzerland. It's now 65. We had David Labuskis from Infocom this morning tell us that this show may get 70,000 people this week. So you've come in 3 years ago when the show was still growing, probably reached 60,000. But last year we had the fourth day. That was the first time ever. You're back again. People aren't talking about the fourth day now because people know that they need the fourth day.
It's not. It's so. In talking to Mike Blackman, and you and I have both interviewed Mike Blackman, the guy who the head of ISE. He has said over the last couple of years, it takes 2 years for an idea to really take hold here at this show, specifically. So you're right. Nobody's talking about the fourth day because they saw the success of it last year. I talked with manufacturers on Thursday last year, who were saying that the fourth day was already a success, and the reason they were saying it was already a success is because they had already met their leads, their qualified leads, and let's be honest, that's what a trade show is about, is getting customers or getting qualified leads. They had already met the previous years on Thursday. So the fourth day was just the whipped cream on top of everything else. And not only that, but ISE is doing things like putting keynote addresses on that Friday, on that fourth day. Last year it was Dr. Mikio Kaku. This year is the head of Cirque du Soleil. I actually think that one is a better fit for our industry because if you've ever been to a Cirque du Soleil show, it's as much art as it is AV.
Absolutely, and Cirque du Soleil both in Orlando, you should go,
yes,
and
sir.
the ones in Vegas are fantastic, very, very good. And the touring ones are pretty good.
And the touring ones, yeah.
So, you haven't probably on the first day seen that much of the show. Tell us first of all about your shows this week. You've got 2 or 3 shows every day for the whole week.
2 shows every day. You and I are both collaborating together on that. We have a show that we're doing 10 o'clock every morning. It's a produced show, so we'll record it and we'll make the magic happen in post on that and post it at a later date. But every day we're doing a 5 o'clock, what we call daily wrap up. It's an idea that we fell upon our first time here 3 years ago. For our audience, our United States, our audience is predominantly 85% is US based. So it gives them a wrap up of what we've experienced that day. And it gives it to them at about 10, 11 o'clock Eastern time so they can have it in real time. 10, 15 minute live stream, no fancy production, nothing like that, but it's a way for us to gather folks around, guys like you, integrators from here, integrators from the States that happen to be attending here, Infocom, CEDIA, people from ISE, and to give them a real sense of what it means to really kind of experience ISE on a day-to-day basis.
So your folks back in the office will be setting up ready to promote the fact that at 5 o'clock you're doing the live show. Mm-hmm. It will be you, somebody else on camera, and you'll talk about what you've seen today?
We will mix it up. So yeah, on some days I will be on camera, on some days some of our other folks will be on camera. This year we are very pleased that I'm bringing an old dear friend of mine that has been in AV and IT. And it's something that you and I had talked about before, how AV is evolving into more and more of the IT space. Michael is a Cisco certified, a CCNA. He's also designed systems. He's worked for AV manufacturers, and so he's going to be bringing that aspect to us as well.
Brilliant. We look forward to that show in half an hour, I think.
Yes, sir.
So, megatrends. We had a couple of people. We've been speaking to Future Source twice today.
Yeah.
Megatrends you see at the show? Anything first impressions?
So megatrends is everybody's doing video. I mean everybody is doing video. Folks that you never would imagine would be doing video are doing video. and they're sending it all over the network. We're not talking point-to-point over Cat5 or using the twisted pair, for some weird little connectivity. Everybody is doing video and everybody is putting video on the network in some way, shape, or form. The real question is how are they doing it and are they being successful at it? Yes, trade show smoke and mirrors exist, right? So what you're going to see at these stands may be wonderful and beautiful, but step back for a second, take a real look at the specs, and take a real look at the impact it has on the network, and test it out. These manufacturers are putting their blood, sweat, and tears in these products, but their whole job is to sell the product. So if what you see on the trade show, what you see in the trades, or from you and me, interests you, call up a rep and say, hey, I want to see this encoder and decoder, and they'll let you borrow one, or they'll have a rep bring it out. But that is one of the biggest main things is everything is going, everybody nearly is doing video, and they're doing it over the network.
Okay, now the video, is that for video's sake, or is it for the collaboration products like the Huddly NEC Infinity boards or the smart boards?
It's more collaboration, right? It's collaboration, and it's the fact that these folks are putting a lot of R&D into software, into network stuff anyway, and say, okay, I've got, Dante, I have, AVB, I have other protocols that are running audio successfully. Not to be too simplistic, but once something is a 1 and 0 on the network, let's figure out a way to add some stuff to that. Let's add control, let's add video, let's add these other aspects to AV, and that's, I honestly think that's what's coming out of it, is their engineers are already working on it and putting the software in place, so why not add another aspect to it?
Okay. Now, and there was an alliance thing we mentioned this morning as well, this
SDVOE. So SDVOE is a new alliance based on a new protocol. Again, it's video and audio over the network. Their specs say that they can do mostly uncompressed 4K on a 10 gig switch. Real quickly, purely uncompressed 4K is 18 gigs. 18 gigs. So they do some magic and they do some slight compression to get 444, which is a 444 uncompressed 4K video under that 10 gig cap, because right now most networks, most commercial networks are either a 1 gig network or a 10 gig network. They've gotten uncompressed 4K, mostly uncompressed 4K under that 10 gig spot. You got Sony, you have Christie, you have DBI Gear, you have some other folks that are using that protocol or are starting to join in. I'll be interested to see who comes along the way. Aurora Multimedia is somebody who's been doing it for a while now, but now you have an alliance of transport and alliance of display manufacturers who are getting into this, so it'll be interesting to see where they go.
Interesting stuff. Now, 12 to 1600 exhibitors, I think, at ISE this year. So, and there's been a big hall number change.
Yep.
What about, you said there was something about Hall 9. We're talking about, tell us about Hall 9.
Hall 9 is a new structure. So they went from 12 halls to 14 halls. One of those halls is a permanent structure, the other one is a temporary. You can't really tell that it's a temporary, but it is. Hall 9 though, because it's a new structure, you've got to kind of go there on purpose, right? Most of the folks that are back in Hall 9, from my very elementary estimate, most of them were exhibitors last year, but they did something else there. Because you kind of have to go there on purpose, they put what I would call an anchor store, an anchor stand, and that's KNX, right? For those folks who are in the US, KNX is a huge consortium standard, mostly for the residential market, but it's interoperability. For the US, it's a lot like Z-Wave. But they have a very large stand that folks are going to go to anyway, so they kind of put KNX there at the front of Hall 9.
Interesting stuff. Now, you've got 3 days left of the show, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What are you going to go and look at maybe over those 3 days? What's one thing people can take away from your experience that you're going to look at the next 3 days?
The main things that I'm going to be looking at when I'm not doing some of these things is, first of all, is networked audio and video both, and the security of that, right? A year ago, you and I were talking about this, other folks were talking about, there was a significant security breach in an AV control product. We spent 2016 trying to figure that out from a manufacturing standpoint, from an integration standpoint. And then in November, we had a wonderful DDoS attack. We didn't, the internet did. The eastern seaboard of the US couldn't get to certain websites because there were products that had basic username and passwords that were set to default. Two of those products were AV products. Okay, there was a speaker manufacturer and there was cameras. So we still have a ways to go as far as the security from a manufacturing standpoint, but honestly, from the integration standpoint, we've got to put practices in place from the integrator to say, okay, when I leave a job site, I'm not going to leave the login and password to be admin and password 123, right? So I'm going to be looking and seeing how these manufacturers impact the network from a bandwidth and a traffic standpoint, but also how they impact the security, right? I've been talking with a lot of IT managers and CTOs. They are moving to starting to treat AV as an appliance. Well, that means they're going to take that product and throw it on their network for a month, 2 months, 3 months to see the security impact. Guess what happens if there's an issue? You don't get the job, right? Your product doesn't get put in, and unless you fix those, and sometimes they won't even tell you. They'll just say, you know, Adrian, it didn't pass, right? So we're interested to see how they're tackling that issue.
Tim Albright, AV Nation, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.